بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Doing the Ascension on
Isra and Mi'raj.
right? Is Jesus supposed to have been ascended alive, or did he ascend? Is that where he died?
Excellent question. What's called Isra al Mi'raj, when the Prophet went from Mecca first to Jerusalem to Quds, and then not on the rock, but the rock.
Sits now. Isn't that where the Dome of the Rock sits now?
So the Dome of the Rock is where the place was, but it was not, the rock didn't float, for example, right?
From it.
From it, exactly. This is a physical journey, and it's this journey while he was alive. And that's why it's miraculous, right? At that time, it would have been a very difficult idea for people to believe. In our time, we're kind of getting an understanding, right? If we look at now the internet, right? You click a button and your email goes from here to China in a split second. Now this is just human technology developing. Imagine the power of our Creator.
Would it have been considered a miracle?
It was a miracle, no doubt, but
no, today's technology would be considered miracles.
It would have been, exactly.
So he ascended alive into the realm of heaven?
So it went to the first sky. In Islam we have sab'a samawat, the 7 skies. And the Quran tells us, وَزَيَّنُوا الْمَصَابِيحِ وَزَيَّنُوا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحِ. What does that mean? We beautified the sky, the first sky, with lamps. So that means stars, moons, galaxies. This is all the first sky. Right, physical lights, excellent. The next sky is above that. And then there's an above that, which don't have these. And that's what science tells us as well. That past the universe that as we know it, there is blank emptiness, right?
The more physics learns, the more scripture tends to be correct.
Very interesting, right? So the Prophet went through all 7 above them to a place called Sidratul Muntaha, the end, where others couldn't go. Even the Prophet went with Gabriel couldn't go past that. And then past that, he spoke to our Creator, Allah, and Allah gave him certain commandments, and then he came back. And this was something that today we can grasp easier than that time because of travel. We've been to the moon. I mean, we're trying to go to Mars and all that kind of stuff. And this is just human technology. Imagine the Creator of humans and what he can do.
I was always wondering, he never returned from, did he return from that?
Yeah, he did. Okay. Yeah, same night.
So did he physically die?
Not then, but later on. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought that was his ascension, like Jesus' ascension.
Yeah, Jesus ascended without being physically killed, and he will come back. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, ascended, came back the same night. They said that in some of the narrations, the bed was still warm, right? So that means it was as quick as the Creator can, and that's Allah can do all things. So at that time, when he came back, he told the people, and this is a very early time in Mecca. So years after that, they were still, and he even gave them news of a caravan of the Quraysh, of the people of Mecca that was coming, that he could not have known. And that's why many people became Muslim at that time, seeing that he gave them information that he physically could not have known. He came back and then he lived, and then he had.
He wrote the Quran after that.
He never wrote the Quran. He couldn't read or write, the Prophet Muhammad. But the Quran was revealed to him, and he would recite it, and the companions would write it down and memorize it. And that continued to go on until he was about 63 years of age, and then he.
Similar to the Christian tradition, where it wasn't written down at the time, it was written down about 60 years.
Well, not exactly. You are right about the Christian tradition, about 60, 70 to 100 years, Matthew, John, Luke, all of those. But in the Islamic tradition, it was written down in the presence of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it was compiled as a book in that first generation by Abu Bakr, who was the first, and about a year later from the death of the Prophet, it was already a standardized book. And a few years later after that, Uthman, same generation, same companions, sent manuscripts out to the Ummah, and we still have those. And unlike Christianity, in Quran was memorized letter by letter, word by word, by many of the companions during the presence of the Prophet. So there was never a disagreement because it was memorized.
Like we had to have the Council of Nicene.
Council of Nicene, right? And exactly, Pop Demas, you're a well-educated man. That's great. Yeah.
I'm a Christian. Sometimes I hate to say it because it associates me with people that I do not share.
Hey, we have many Muslims that we wouldn't want to be associated with. I feel you. Go ahead.
But yeah, the same. We have our extremists and fundamentalists.
Right.
Of
course.
Who can be just as violent as some of them.
Spanish Inquisition, the KKK, IRAs, the FARC. We got you.
And I don't believe that our faith, we don't stand up against them enough.
Right.
Because if feel it's the same situation in your?
I would say we do stand up against them. We don't get the airplay that we should standing up. For example,
We don't hear the voice. We don't hear we're not played on our news. The voices
same
of
thing.
your face standing up against them.
same thing with us. So more Muslims get killed by ISIS and by these people than anybody else.
Right.
And many Muslims, like many scholars we know, they wrote against them, they spoke out against them, they were killed by them. But Fox News never interviews us. Like they never call us and say, what do you think? You know, they get the extremists, video clips, they play those, and then they get some crazy right-wing, racist, bigoted guy, and then they play him. So our voice, even though the big, vast majority of the Muslims are loudly condemning all forms of terrorism, but nobody gives them airplay.
Yeah, you hear on
and
Fox News, nobody's standing up against it. There's not a
right.
voice.
Well, I mean, we had every single major Muslim organization in the U.S. and around the world condemn attacks that come out, but that never gets airplay. And we have talked to any regular Muslim you meet on the street, they will condemn terrorism right away. And there's 1.6 billion Muslims, right?
Terrorism is not a religious.
That's true. It's
a
true.
Socioeconomic and clash of culture.
That is true. I mean, if you look at the first strapping bomb suicide bombing was the Tamil Tigers. They come from a Hindu background. You look at kamikazes. You look at the IRA. You look at the FARC. You look at all these kinds of organizations. I mean, the first use of explosions of buildings for political cause were by Zionists. So historically, you're exactly right. But the media puts its spin, and we're here trying to clear up these misconceptions. We're here speaking, right? But you never. I mean, you can see videos of the right wings coming and trying to attack and fight, and we just. You know, yeah. Well, I'll show you the video later. Yeah,
Really?
but you know, we
They call
just
themselves Christian.
yeah, and they were very adamant about being Christian and used very vulgar language and
Even though he would never do that, I'd like to say Jesus.
And I mean,
he had.
I believe if Jesus was here, he would be very disappointed by most of the Christians and the shirk that they do today. That is
Same
true.
way he turned over the money tables in the temple, he would do the
Exactly,
same.
exactly,
The antithesis
exactly.
Of all of that stuff. Yeah, I believe that what's causing this whole Islamic terrorism is a socioeconomic issue of
And I get-
disenfranchisement of people and a culture that a group of people that look at the world coming into their world and saying, I don't have a chance to compete in this. People don't destroy what they have a chance to be a part of.
I agree with you, and I would take it a step further. I mean, if you look at Iraq, historically there was no ISIS in Iraq before the U.S. invasion. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq.
Puppet regimes created all that.
Right, and then you had an invasion of a country that had nothing to do with 9/11, that had nothing to do with actually attacking the U.S. by any shape or form. Saddam was put in place by the U.S. to put a check on Iran. And then you had an invasion, killing, armies taken out, and then you make a situation where people band together to protect themselves, and then those groups are going to morph into something you didn't want. If you look at Afghanistan, when the same people were fighting the Russians, Reagan was invited into the White House calling them freedom fighters. And when the same people fought the U.S. invasion, right?
We armed them all.
Yeah, all those weapons that you know, even if you look at ISIS today, if you look at their videos, they have American weapons, they have American cars. So please, feel free.
I've never read it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Sounds great talking. I'll show you that video if you have a. Yusuf, Musa to je da'wat welcome.
You're walking down the street, you guys get crap just by
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, we get all kinds of stuff. This is like being black during the 50s or whatever, you know. You get a lot of civil rights. I mean, you get followed by people.
FBI, like,
Yeah. We're randomly chosen for secondary inspection, more randomly than anybody else. We are quite random, apparently.
Well, yeah, I've been chosen once for secondary inspection because I bought a last-minute ticket to fly somewhere. That's the only time I was ever randomly.
I get chosen almost every single time that I fly, so.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's all right. You know, we kind of get.
Profile.
Yeah, we get used to it. You try to just use it as. So this was. Hold on real quick. This was them. So this was the. You see, that's them. Believe in Jesus or burn in hell.
Those are the same people that have like Jesus hates fags kind of.
They had the flag too, yeah, the flag sign, yeah.
Okay, they're not really Christians. I mean,
Yeah.
I gave you answers already.
And they
Like it?
try to push people. They get in, you know, they were telling my son, I want to shoot you in the head, terrorist boy, and stuff. I was like, wow, that's pretty Christian-like of you.
did anybody say would Jesus? If Was there one example of Jesus doing
Well,
anything?
they don't actually listen. That's the problem. We tried to talk to them. We try to talk about peace. We try to talk about, you know, the actual message, and they don't want to listen. They're just arguing and screaming. This is the you know, and this is the same people that go to, you know, the West Road Church and all that. They go to, like, you know, funerals of soldiers and say we want more dead soldiers. Same people that go and kill doctors who do, you know, abortions or whatever. And you may have an opinion, but just killing people like that's a whole different issue.
Those aren't even the ones that make me not want to call myself a Christian. It's even just the normal fundamentalists that would condemn that. They still bother me.
Yeah, and you know, but I'm appreciative that there's people like you that are, you know, open-minded, that love to discuss. And please, feel free.
Thank you very much.
All right,
What's your name?
Uthman. Sean, nice to meet you. Thanks.